Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're making Finn. So he comes with a backpack and his very long limbs. So he is not built in one piece. His legs are sewn on, his arms are sewn on. His backpack is made separately and just put across his shoulders. Let's talk about yarn. So the quantities are going to be above these colors so that you know how much you're going to need for the video. This peach color is what I used for his skin color. And it's Loops and Threads Soft Classic Peach. The blue you see here is Loops and Threads Impeccable Clear Blue. This that looks like jeans, it's a Red Heart Denim Flex. So it comes from the Red Heart Flex collection, but it looks like a pair of jeans, and that's why I chose to use it. Loops and Threads Soft Classic White and Black. And the two greens that we're going to need for the backpack, I don't have labels. They are just dark green and light green. And that's for his backpack. So I'm going to do all of this with a 4.5 G7 hook. And you're going to need some 12mm safety eyes. Let's jump right into this. So you're also going to need a hot glue gun too, because these eyes go in on a faceplate that we make. So there's not going to be any way of putting the backs on. So you're going to either need an E6000, E7000 craft glue, or craft glue sticks in a glue gun. So let's start with our denim color. We're going to just start the body, and then we'll do the legs and the arms after that. So we're going to start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets. We are building this in amigurumi, which means no slip stitching and no chaining. So you're going to need a stitch marker. So that's my stitch marker I'm going to use throughout my project. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. So again, no slip stitching, no chaining, we're just going to pop over and start building. After stitch number 1, that's where the marker goes. Stitch number 2 can go into that same space, and each space gets 2 single crochets for a total of 12 when you're done. So pull your middle closed. We're going to weave in this at the back, and our next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. So that's my 1 single crochet. So my next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 24 stitches. That's number 1. That's 2. So then this next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 30 stitches. That's 1. That's 3. So your next stitch gets the increase. Next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 36 stitches. That's 4 single crochets. The marker is number 1. So this next stitch will get your increase of 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And repeat. So your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 42 stitches. So your last increase is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase, bringing you up to 48 stitches. Alright, that is the end of the increases. That's about 4 inches. Fairly flat, except for, you know, these pieces. These little ends kind of swoop up a little bit. So if this is not flat, you're probably a tight crocheter. So you might want to go up in hook size to a 5. But it should be fairly flat. For the next 5 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 48 stitches. So this is the end of my 5 rows, and on my last stitch, I'm going to go to my light blue color, which is my shirt. So with my light blue color, I'm going to be using my front loops. So these guys right here only, because after I'm going to be using my back loops. My front loops are going to be used now to put a rim around. So you're going to do a twisted single crochet in each front loop. So I want you to pull up and make this loop a little bit bigger. You're going to go into your front loop, yarn over, pull this through, and make that the same size as this. And then you're going to twist your loop, your hook, yarn over, and pull through. This is the one that's important to make sure it's big. So pull up, go into your front loop, yarn over, pull through, pull up again, make sure it's tall, yarn over, and finish the stitch. That's what I want you to do all the way around. So the higher you go, the bigger your rim's going to be. So I'm on my last front loop. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to fasten off. Try this again. So the reason I fastening off is because it looks better to do it this way, because we're going to now use the same color and go into these back loops that we left from the last round. So I'm just going to weave this through. Weave that away, make that look better. So now with the same color, like I said, you're going to reattach in the back loops. With whatever you want to reattach with. It can be a single crochet, it can be a slip stitch. You're going to pull on this and make it a knot anyway, so it doesn't matter what you attach with. You're just going to do one single crochet in each of these 48 stitches. So go back into the stitch you just reattached in to make your first stitch. And now you can see that here is the knot. So I'm going to probably weave this in so it doesn't look so bad. And in each back loop, you're just going to put one single crochet for 48 stitches. So that is my 48 stitches. This is what you should have. Again, we're not slip stitching, we're not chaining, we just go straight into our marker stitch and we start to crochet. For the next 18 rows, I just want you to put one single crochet in each of these 48 stitches. And then we'll be switching to white for our head. So I've come to the end of my 18 rows, and on my last stitch I need to go to white. So we're going to be doing one single crochet in each of these 48 stitches in the front loops only. So for the next 12 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these now full stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So that's what you used to have. That's my 12 rows. So we're going to start to decrease. Close up this head. And we're going to do a 6 single crochet decrease. This will bring you down to 42 stitches. That's number 1. That's 6 single crochets, and I use invisible decreases, which are done in the front loops. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 36 stitches. That's number 1. This always gets counted as number 1. So that's 5 single crochets. And again, using invisible decreases. Front loop, yarn over, pull through, finish the stitch. Especially when we're stacking them, because it leaves the back loops there to fill in any gaps. And we're just going to be decrease, decrease, decrease till we close up the head. So it's completely up to you which ones you want to use. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you down to 30 stitches. So we can start to stuff this. Not start, we can continue to stuff this. Since we're going to be closing up the head. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you down to 24 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you down to 18 stitches. So I'm going to continue to stuff mine. We only have 1 row left. And then before we do our cinch, so I want to make sure my head is stuffed pretty good. So I do like to dig a hole by pushing everything to the outside and then creating this hole. And then filling the hole. I think it's the best way to stuff something. Anyway, 1 more row. which is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease. This brings you down to 12 stitches, and that's where I generally cinch from. I know some of you like the smaller cinch holes, and that's fine. You can continue to do another decrease if you don't want to cinch large. So you have 12 stitches. If you want it smaller, you just do 6 decreases back to back in a row. But if you're like me, you're going to fasten off here. You need a cinching tail. And let's finish stuffing this. Just be careful that you're not going to overstuff it. His head is actually fairly flat on top. It's not really, I mean, it's rounded, but it's flat right here, so I don't have too much more that I can actually just need to fill this hole here. This is about it. So you're going to go in the front loop of the first stitch and out the front loop of the second stitch all the way around. So when you're all the way around, you can pull, and you're going to pop across, make your knots, pull back and forth. It really does tighten that knot down. And then you can weave. So this is what you should have. So now we need to make the ears for the top. Get my guy and show you what I'm talking about. These things. So now we have to make those and get those sewn in place. So we're going to start this with a magic ring of 6 single crochets. If you struggle with the magic ring, you can do a chain 2 and put everything into the first stitch. That might be a little bit easier way of doing it. The first round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch, bringing you up to 12 stitches. That is your first stitch. Stitch number 2 can go in that same space, and each space around gets 2. So make sure your middle is pulled nice and tight. We're going to weave that in at the back, or you can sew it in if you're more comfortable with that. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. So a little bit of a smaller increase. This only brings us up to 15 stitches. So number 1 with the marker, that's 3 single crochets. Your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. You should have 15 stitches. For the next 2 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 15 stitches. So that's my 2 rows. So we're going to do something to put an angle, a little bit of an angle on this, because they need to be sewn to the outer part. So we need it to be angled a little bit. Well, I wanted it to be angled. Let's truth be told, for the next 4 stitches, I want you to put 2 single crochets in each stitch. For the next 4. That's my 4 stitches with 2 single crochets in each of them. And now I want you to do 4 single crochets. I want you to SC2 tog, which is a decrease, once, twice, and thrice. Is that a word? 3 times. And then 1 single crochet to finish the round. Makes this all slanty. So your next round, just to highlight the slant, is going to be 1 single crochet in what should be 16 stitches. And then that'll be it. So I know you could probably see it in person. You can fasten off. That is it for that. You have to make number 2, and this does get stuffed. You need a sewing tail to sew it to the head. And I'll just stuff it to give you an idea of what it's supposed to look like. So you can see the slant that we have on it. So depending on what side of the head you're sewing this to, the slant goes down the side. So if it's this side or if it's this side, you got to turn it, and the slant goes down the side of the head. Makes it easier to be able to sew something to the side of the head without looking stupid, to put the slant on there, because these really do sit on the outside. So go ahead and make your second piece, and I'll meet you right back here and we'll get them all sewn on. So I've got one of mine sewn on. I'm going to sew the other one on with you. So again, make sure your jog is at the back and your ears are evenly 1, 2, 3 placed. Straighten my head out a bit. So 1, 2, I'm on the 3rd row from the magic ring. 1, 2, 3. So we can't sew this all up until we continue to put more stuffing in it. So you can choose when to do that. I'm going to do mine now, before it's all closed up. So I'm going to meet up with my two ends. So those are my ears all sewn on. And I'm going to snip that down a little bit, but I'm going to tie these two together in a double knot and weave them away. That way my ears are all tied up inside. So if anybody was to try to pull my ear off, they would have to take the other one with it. So next, let's get this face done. You're going to need peach and white and some black to sew in a mouth. And you're going to need some safety eyes as well. I think these are 12 millimeters that I used. And a hot glue gun. So with peach, your face part starts with a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Your first round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. I'm weaving in my tail at the back after I've pulled my magic ring tight. That's 1 single crochet. Your next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. You'll have a total of 18 stitches when you're done. Next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. This brings you up to 24 stitches. So your next round starts with 3 single crochets. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets. For the next 6 stitches, I want you to put 2 single crochets in each of them. Then I want you to do 6 single crochets. And do the same thing, 2 single crochets in each of the next 6 stitches. and then 3 single crochets to finish the round. So that makes it a little bit oval. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 36 stitches, and then we're going to change to white. So on my last stitch, I'm going to switch to white. So if you prefer to fasten off and then reattach, that's perfectly fine. You can do that too. This is the way that I'm going to do it. So now with white, your next round starts with 5 single crochets. I don't really need to use my marker because I've already... It's a color change, but still. Don't judge me. So that is my 5 single crochets. In the next 10 stitches, you're going to put 2 single crochets in each of them. Now I want you to do 6 single crochets. And now I want you to do the same thing we just did over here, 2 single crochets in the next 10 stitches. And you should have 5 single crochets back to your marker. There. So it's a little wavy and wobbly, but when you start to sew it down, it'll be perfectly fine. You can fasten off. So I'm going to slip stitch, and then I'm going to go in the second stitch, slip stitch, and fasten off. I just feel like it tones that bump down a little bit. So the transition bump isn't so large. It's shorter when you do that, in my opinion. Anyway, whatever you didn't get weaved in here at the back, just snip her off. So we're going to sew this. We're going to sew this on. And then we're going to hot glue the eyes in. Because if we put backs on this, we won't be able to get this to be flush to the doll. So that's the plan. So his face pretty much goes all the way down to the blue-white transition. If you were pinning this like me. So grab your 12mm eyes and we figure out where we're going to put them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. So we're going to have to make our holes first before we figure where we're going to go with our eyes. Oh no, that needs to be further apart. Yeah, I think I'm going to do my eyes here. That gives you any indication. So second row in, I don't know how many apart. So you create a hole when you do that. And it's a lot easier to hot glue your eyes in when you create holes like that. If I can squeeze mine out here. There we go. So I would advise against using anything like school glue or anything like that that'll break down. You need stuff that's not water-based. So anything that's like super glue or hot glue is not water-based. This glue that I have in my gun is a fabric glue. So I'm just going to push down on my eyes for a minute because I want mine to be sunk in a little bit. So that kind of sinks my eyes down a little bit when you glue it on like that. So let's get a little piece of black here. Just quickly sew the mouth on and then we can move on to the limbs, which are long. He's got some long limbs. And then the backpack is the biggest thing, so I just kind of wanted to get the smaller things out of the way type deal. So he's got a weird mouth. It doesn't really matter where you come in. It just matters where you pop out. So we're just going to put a smiley mouth on him, I think. So figure where you want to come in, and then we're going to go and split the difference down here. And then just make sure you pull this down, and then we're going to go in above it and out, wherever you decide to poke out. There. Guess I didn't need that much black. But you can tie this and weave it away if it's super important that a child or a baby doesn't get this piece of yarn out and then swallow it, because that could be quite dangerous for a baby or even a toddler. So let's make sure that we keep everybody safe. Here we go. Now we can move on to arms and legs. So let's start with the arm, because I know how much you guys hate these little fingers that I do. So let's get them out of the way. They're just a couple of rows. I made them really, really small, so it's just a couple of rows, but yeah, I know, but you know, they're so cute. Look at it. Anyway, that's the hand, which we're going to do first. And then this is the leg, the foot. that we're going to do. So yeah, let's do this hand first. So we need to make these little fingers and thumbs first. And so you're going to need some blue and some peach. So these fingers and thumbs, they're all the same size. So I'm going to build one with you. You need 4 altogether. So I'm going to build one with you, and then you're going to go off, build your other 3. And you're going to stay attached to the last one. That's the plan, Stan. So you do a magic ring of 5 single crochets. For the next 3 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 5 stitches. If I can get into the first one, I can talk to you about what I'm going to do in the back. So in the back, I'm going to make a double knot. Those that follow me know what I'm talking about. Those that are new may never know because I can't get into this stitch. Alright. So I'm going to do my first round. If you don't know where your stitches are, it is easier if you use a marker, but markers just get in my way when it's so small. Just remember it's 5 single crochets, not 6. So this is my 5th one. I can't get into this one either. Okay. So, this is my 5 stitches the hard way. So back here, I like to push this close so my middle closes up nice and tight. And then I like to make a double knot so that none of my fingers continue to open. So now we wiggle this around. I've got 2 more rows to do. So when you come back around, this is not a stitch. You're already into it. It's just elongated because you have to pull across. This will be your next stitch that you get into. Now I'm just going to count to 15. So this is stitch number 6 for me. So that's my 15 stitches. So it's pretty small. I can't fasten off this because I need to stay attached. It's my last one. I've already built all my other fingers. So I want you to go and build all your other fingers. You need 4 altogether. And I want you to stay attached to the last one. I'll write it in the pattern so you can remember. So that'll go up right now. So put a marker in where my first stitch is going to be. So now we have to sew all these fingers together. First we sew 3 together because one of these is going to be a thumb. So we don't want to sew all 4 together right now. We're going to do 3. So I just used 2 stitches and I'm going to go in right next to my marker to start sewing. Don't forget to make your knot. I wouldn't cut that off too short because you want to be able to just push it down inside. So I don't stuff my fingers. That's your choice whether you want to do that or not. I do not stuff my fingers. So last finger. I'm going to set my other one aside because that's my thumb. And again, I'm going to use whatever 2 stitches you want to use. There we go. So I've got all 3 of mine done. I've got one waiting to get sewn on. So we start the hand. I want you to get 15 stitches, which means we're going to use the sew spots as we always do. And the reason I use the sew spots is because I don't want my fingers to be this close. So it kind of spreads them open a little bit. So you need to get 15 stitches to keep up with my numbers, and you're going to do 2 rows. And then we're going to sew the thumb on. So that's number 1. Right here is going to be a sew spot. I'm going to go into that for stitch number 2. Sew spot, stitch number 4. And so on and so forth. So that's my 2 rows of 15 single crochets in each stitch. So using our sew spots widens your fingers out like that, and they look so much better. So we sew the thumb on now. So a few things about the thumb that I do. You don't have to do it. This is just something that I do personally. You've got 3 stitches basically on this corner. You can use the same 2 stitches when you sew your thumb on each hand, and that's perfectly fine. But it doesn't define which side of the body your hand is on. So what I do is my first hand that I make, I use this middle stitch and the front stitch, and that defines what side of the body. The second hand I make, I use this stitch and the back stitch. And again, it's the curve of the hand. The hand will cup that direction and will define, number 1, the hand, and what side of the body that is gets sewn to. It takes your hands from being 1-dimensional to 3-dimensional, basically. So you can do whatever you want. This is my second hand. This is your first one. So if you want to do what I do, then you're going to use the middle stitch and this stitch. I'm going to use the middle stitch and the back stitch. Now I know I keep saying front and back, but that's just how I'm holding it, with the stitch marker in my hand right there. So it's just how I'm holding it, is why I'm saying front and back. Get that out of the way. So now that your thumb's on, I want you to do 1 single crochet in each stitch, and now I want you to get 18 stitches. So I didn't use any of my sew spots this time around to get my 18 stitches. That's what you should have. So we're going to decrease. We're going to do a 4 single crochet decrease. So you should be back down to 15 stitches. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 12. So you should have 12 stitches. For the next 20 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches, and that will build your arm, and then we'll come back for a color change. So this is my last row, and on my last stitch I need to go to blue. So I'm going to pull up that stitch, but I'm going to finish it with my blue. And then with blue, I want you to do 10 rows of 1 single crochet in each stitch. You can fasten off, it doesn't matter where. The sewing tail. So finish stuffing this. I'm going to show you before I put the pattern up what I did to the top of this and the reason why. So most people that are sewing an arm to a body would whip stitch this closed. Of course, I have to do something different. So I cinched the top of it shut so he actually has shoulders, because this bag will sit on his shoulders. So that's why I cinched it. And then I only mattress stitched part of it to the body. So instead of it being flat, it's going to be round. So we're going to cinch it closed. So in the front loop of the first stitch, out the front loop of the second stitch. And then you pull closed, pop across to make your knots. So, well, depending on which hand you got, where you pop out, I'm going to do a mattress stitch. So I just mattress stitch along the one side that's up against the body, which is this hand. The hand that you probably just did is the other side of the arm, because that's your first one. This is my second one, however. Anyway, you can always change where you pop out after, like when you go to sew on. So I'm going to put the pattern on the screen. Go ahead and make your second arm, and I will meet you right back here to start the foot. So we're going to start this foot now. We start with black, and we're going to make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Your first round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. So I'm going to pull my middle tight and weave in at the back. This increase will bring you up to 15 stitches. For the next 5 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 15 stitches. So that is my 5 rows. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to do 9 single crochets. That's my 9. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. I'm going to do this for 5 rows total. So I'm going to keep track with my row counter. And you're going to do 9 single crochets and turn. You're going to just keep doing that for 5 rows. So this is my last row. This is my 5th row. My 9 stitches. So let's take our marker out here because we don't need it to be here. So in the PDF, you're going to see how it says chain 1 and join. So right here, we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to bring this up. And we're going to join. We're going to join these two. But you're going to come around here and go in like this to join them. So you're not going to join them like this. You're going to join it like this. So you're going to put a stitch in there. So that's going to be a single crochet. And that is going to be where your marker now goes. Right on that single crochet that you joined with. So now we've got this raw side we've got to work. So I want you to do 7 single crochets. We've already kind of done number 1. So we're going to do 7 single crochets up this raw side. So that's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 is that corner. So hard to see, I know. So now I want you to do 6 single crochets across. Now you have stitches here you can follow. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 ends your stitches on the top. So don't forget to get into this corner because that's what we did on the other side. And you're going to do 7 single crochets along the raw side again using that corner. And my last stitch, number 7, is in here. I put 2 in this big stitch there to make it 7. And our marker is our number 1 stitch. This back will get sewn so that that hole's not there anymore. That gets sewn up. And you don't have to do it from the inside. You can do it from the outside. It's not going to be noticeable. Before we sew this up, we're going to do 1 single crochet around. You should have 20 stitches. Starting in this first stitch we marked. And then we'll sew up this back here with an extra piece of black. So it's black. It's so easy to skip a stitch, especially when it's all kinds of squishy in here. So just do your best. You should get 20 stitches. So let's stop for a second and sew up this back with a piece of black. So because I use the inside, I have my outside that I can take from. So I'm just going to grab a piece, tuck this back in. So I'm going to make a slip knot on the one side. So I'm going to reattach by going through my slip knot and making a double knot. And then I'm just going to whip stitch this closed. There. So, I know, again, it's hard to see. I'm going to go in and make my knot. There we go. So now we can put a little bit of stuffing in this. Get an idea of what the foot's going to look like. So our next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. And this will bring it down to 16 stitches. So your next decrease is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring it down to 12 stitches, and that's as far as we're going. There. So for the next 4 rows, we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches, and then we're going to switch to white. So this is my last round. It's my 4th round. On my last stitch, I'm going to change to white. So that's your foot. This is what you should have. So with your white, we're going to do this in the front loops. We're going to do front loops only. We're going to increase. We need to make the sock. So 2 single crochets and an increase is what we're going to do in the front loops only. That's 2 single crochets, so the next one will get the increase in the front loop only. I know I keep repeating that. Don't worry about how much it pulls. It's going to be rolled over, so... So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. So now the full stitch. Still building the sock part. 3 single crochet increase will bring you up to 20 stitches. Your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 20 stitches, and then you can fasten off. So that is the end of my white. We can fasten off. So you need a sewing tail if you want to sew this after we roll it, if you want to sew it in place. You don't need much, that's for sure. So we need to get now into the back loops. We're just going to leave this for now. But now we need to get into these back loops that we left when we did the front loops. And we need to get into that with our skin color. So find your jog. That's the best place to start. And reattach with whatever you want to reattach with. It doesn't really matter if I do a single crochet. I'm going to pull that knot tight enough that it's just going to be a knot. I'm just going to shove my tail down here. You're going to do 1 single crochet in each of these 20 stitches for the next, each of these 12 stitches for the next 20 rows. So because we're still in the black, that's still 12 stitches. So you're going to do this for 20 rows starting on this very first round. So you should get 12 stitches. And this last loop is kind of right up here at the top. And then again, no slip stitching or anything. You're just going to go into your next stitch. You're just going to keep going, but this one's going to get the marker before you start row number 2. So I'll see you after your 20 rows is done. Stuff as you go. So this is the end of my 20th row, and on my last stitch I'm going to change to my pants color. So whatever color you started the body with, that's the color you're changing to right now. So our very first round, actually before we start that, let's take care of this because it's a pain in the butt. So pull this up. So push this up as far as you're comfortable with. Let me get my hook out of there. And you're just going to put in a couple of stitches just to keep it there. So this is just supposed to be a sock rolled up out of the top of the boot. And the reason we did what we did was to make it look like, you know, kind of 3D, like the leg is going into a boot with a sock on it. Yeah, so that's the idea. So once you're done, you can just weave into the white part, or, you know, whatever you want to do, if you're even doing this part. So now that pain in the butt is kind of taken care of. So far, this is what you should have. So now we're starting the pants. Your very first round is going to be done in the front loops, just like we did down here. So in these front loops, we're going to do a twisted single crochet. So pull up on this loop, go into your front loop, pull up to match the height, and then twist. And then finish it like a single crochet. Pull up on that loop, go into your next front loop, pull up to match the height, and twist. So we're going to do this all the way around, and then we're going to use the back loops to finish building the pants. So I'm going to go in over here and I'm going to fasten off. And then I'm going to reattach into the back loops. So these back loops here, that's the jog. There's one there and then one here. So these back loops, that's what I'm going to get into with the same blue color. And then we're just going to do one single crochet in each of the 12 stitches. So reattach with anything you want. I'm going to just do whatever, single crochet, but I'm going to pull that nice and tight, put my second stitch in there, one single crochet in each of these back loops for 12 stitches. So this is my last loop. So again, no slip stitch, no chaining. We're just going to keep going. For the next 6 rows, I want you to put one single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. Alright, that is my 6 rows. You can fasten off. So you're gonna need a sewing tail to sew it to the body. And it doesn't matter where it is. So we need to weave this guy away. So I'm going to put the pattern on the screen. Go ahead and make your second leg. And I will meet you right back here and we can start sewing all of our limbs on. Alright, now that we have all of our limbs are all done, we need to cinch each top of one. So I showed you how to cinch that one, so I just need you to cinch all of these. So make sure they're full to the top, anyway, with your stuffing. And we're going to cinch all of these closed. And then we'll get to sewing. So then the only thing that'll be left is his backpack. So using the front loops, you're going to go in and out. So to determine where I want my legs, I just sit him down. Now, they kind of got to be more in the front so that he sits up on his own, so he doesn't get knocked over. So I didn't sew this top part. I only sewed the sides for the arms. And I'll show you. Because I want the shoulders to be up for the backpack. So make sure your thumb is in the right position. when you go to do this. So this, make sure everything's sitting properly. So this should be poking out the side here. And again, I'm just going to make sure it's in a decent spot. I'm just going to do a mattress stitch. I don't go very far down. It's like 4 times. Pull that. And then I pop through to the other side. So down through the doll to the other side. And I do the same thing. So just doing the sides attaches it, but it leaves these nice shoulders for the backpack to sit on. So that's how I did mine. And then I didn't actually sew my arms together. I actually just kind of weaved up into the arm itself. But that's your choice. You can do whatever. So go ahead, finish getting your limbs all sewn on, and when you're ready, I'll meet you right back here to do the knapsack. So we start with dark green for this backpack, and we're going to chain 11. In your first stitch, you're going to put 2 single crochets. So put a marker on that first stitch so you can work along with me. Put a second stitch in that same space. Then you're going to do 8 single crochets up the chain. And in your last stitch, I want you to put 4 single crochets, and I want you to follow the curve around to the left. And then I want you to do 8 single crochets back down where you're going to have 1 stitch left. That's my 8 single crochets. I've got 1 stitch left. I'm going to put 2 single crochets into that to match the other side. So I'm going to just cut my straggler off. So right now you should have 24 stitches. We're going to start our next round with 2 single crochets in your next stitch. But again, after the first stitch, that's what the marker goes on. Stitch number 2 can go in here. And then 2 single crochets into your next stitch. And now I want you to do 8 single crochets up. You got 4 stitches along the top here. You're going to put 2 single crochets into each of them. And then 8 single crochets down. you'll have 2 stitches left, and you're going to put 2 single crochets into each of them. And that matches the other side and matches the top. You should have 32 stitches. So we've made our base. Now we're going to start growing it. So we're going to do 3 single crochets and an increase. And this will bring it up to 40 stitches. So it should be a little bit of wobblies. Your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 40 stitches. So it's going to start to cup. So you're going to need to turn it right side in at some point. So your next round is going to be 7 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 45 stitches. There we go. So you should have 45 stitches. For the next 6 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 45 stitches, and then we're going to switch to light green. So I'm on my last stitch. That is my 6 rounds. And I need to go to light green. So any light green, I'm just using yarn. I don't even know what it is. It's so old. I don't even know what it is anymore. But I do know that it's comparably the same size as the dark green. So it might be a little wee bit thicker, but that is it. I don't even think it's enough to notice. I mean, I did my other backpack and it was perfectly fine. So as long as you can match the size pretty close, then, you know, I think it'll be okay. So now that you've got your light green color, you're just going to do another 6 rows of 1 single crochet in each of these 45 stitches. So that is my 6 rows. We're going to start to decrease now. We're going to do a 7 single crochet decrease. This will bring you down to 40 stitches. Your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 35 stitches. So we're only knocking off 5 each row just to do it slowly so it looks good. So your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 30 stitches. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease. This brings you down to 25 stitches. Alright, so we need to put stuffing in this. I've already started. We're going to single crochet the top closed. So we can just make this a continuous build. So we need to be over here at the side. So you'll notice in the PDF it says +3. Well, it doesn't say +3, it says 3 single crochets. So let's leave our marker behind and just go 1, 2, and 3. Now we're right on the side. So you're gonna single crochet the top closed. This 3 single crochet should have brought you into position to start. So stitch for stitch, right across, single crochet. Should be 12 stitches. So this is my 12th stitch, which is just really the last post, just to secure it. So that's 12 stitches across. So that's what it should look like. So in the PDF, if you're following along, it'll say chain 1 and turn. So that's my chain 1, and now I'm going to turn and work from the back. So you just have to look for your holes instead of your stitches. So now I want you to grab a hold of the post. So now we're just looking for holes. I want you to put the post on and do a single crochet. So you're going to do 11 posts, single crochet. This is my 11th post. So that's what it should look like. You're going to do 1 single crochet, and that's in this last stitch, because remember you had 12 stitches, so in this last stitch you're going to do a single crochet, chain 1, turn your work. So that's what it should look like on the other side. And now I want you to do 5 single crochets and an increase. And you're going to do them in these stitches here. Not these stitches here. So starting in stitch number 1, 5 single crochets and an increase. Chain 1, turn your work, and now we're going to build off of this. flappy thing. And there's all your stitches. I want you to do 1 single crochet in each of these 14 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. Now we're going to do 6 single crochets and an increase. And 1 single crochet in each of these 16 stitches. So that was my 16 stitches, so I don't know if you can tell what's going on, but that's the back. And this is the flap for the front of the backpack, which is going to be, let me show you, which is going to look like this. So that's the part we're doing, in case you're wondering what this weirdness is all about. So chain 1, turn your work. Not happy about this knot at all. So now we're going to do 7 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 18 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. And again, 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches, and then we're going to start to decrease. So that's what you should have. That ridge at the back is the back. The ridge at the back is the back. Chain 1, turn your work. So we're going to start to decrease. You're going to decrease the first 2 stitches. You're going to do 14 single crochets across, and then decrease the last 2 stitches. That's my 14, and then I've got these 2 stitches left, and I'm going to decrease them. Chain 1, turn your work. Decrease the first 2. You're going to do 12 single crochets across. That's my 12, and I'm going to decrease. Chain 1, turn your work. Ignore my little stupid knot. Your next round, you're going to do another decrease. And now you're going to do 10 single crochets, and then a decrease. You're going to do another decrease. You're going to do 8 single crochets across and then a decrease. Chain 1, turn your work. Couple more rows. You're going to do another decrease. You're going to do 6 single crochets across and then another decrease. You're going to do another decrease. You're going to do 4 single crochets. And then a decrease. Chain 1, turn your work. So, we're all the way to the bottom. So far that's what it should look like. It's hard to see. Yeah, so I mean, the points, the decreases on the sides a little bit different. But you won't notice it once it's done. So we're going to do 1 single crochet, chain 6. You're going to skip 4 stitches, and into this last stitch you're going to slip stitch and then fasten off, because that's your buttonhole. So that's what we have. We can just weave this. So, again, I'm just going to straighten it out. But it'll look something like this. This is a little more prominent on this side than it is on this side. You just need to stretch it out. And you won't notice it once it's like this. So we make our own black button. So get your black, we'll make the button, and then you'll understand. It's just the way that each side decreases when you're doing it, and it's nothing that you can stop from happening. But it's also not going to be noticeable to somebody who doesn't crochet. So get your black, we'll quickly get this button done. You're going to do a magic ring of 5 single crochets. You're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch, giving you 10 stitches. So that's my 10. I'm going to pull my middle nice and tight, and your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 10 stitches. That's my 10. I'm going to go into my next stitch and fasten off. You can see that it's cupping. I don't know if I think I put a little bit of stuffing in my button. A little tiny bit. Just for something for my buttonhole to grab onto. So flip this around, and that's your button. So you can decide whether you want stuffing or not, because whatever you decide, I mean, it is going to be such a small amount. So I just like to take it and rub it between my fingers, make a little ball, and then that goes in there, but I think I got too much. It's just easier than trying to pack it down with my... Like this, you can pack it down like felting, if you've ever done that, sort of like it. So you just need to determine where it goes, which is just about where the color change is. And then get that sewn on. Show you in a sec. So it's about where the color change is that you need to sew this on. So that's my button sewn on. I'm just going to go and weave up into my button. I could probably have put more stuffing in it, but it's not going to go anywhere. There we go. So that's the start of your backpack. So now we just have to do the straps. So starting with your dark green, I'm going to make a magic ring of 8 single crochets. For the next 17 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 8 stitches, and then we're going to switch to the light green and do another 17 rows. So that is the lineup. Don't forget to stuff as you go. Super important. So I'm going to push this closed, and I'm going to make my knots here at the back, because it's going to be hard to keep this magic ring of 8 closed. I am coming up on my last stitch on my 17th row. Doesn't take long when there's only 8 stitches. So I'm going to change to my light green. So this gets stuffed. Well, where I'm going to do some sewing, I put a bit of stuffing in there. But the rest of it is just lightly stuffed because it has to bend. So don't overstuff that part. So with light green, now I just want you to do 17 rows with your light green. And that'll be it. I also don't use my marker when I go around. I count to 32 and then I put 4 rows at a time on my row counter. So that is my 17 rows. I just have to finish stuffing it, but I'm going to fasten off. You need a sewing tail for this end as well as the other end, and a cinching tail. So I'm going to finish stuffing it very, very, very lightly, like I said. I don't put very much in here. We're going to cinch this shut, and then I'm going to let you go and make your other one. Take you about 10-15 minutes. Meet you back here, and then we can sew it on, and then we'll be done, this guy. There we go. So I'm going to pop down here for the sewing purposes. So we're going to have to get an extra piece to sew this side in this color. But for now, go ahead and make your second piece. Get it all cinched up and ready to go. And I'll meet you right back here. So I've done my other one. I've already sewed this on to give you an idea of what you're doing. So it's got to be all the way over to the side. So we do have our green, and then I added this darker green down here. So I'll show you how to do that too. I used a mattress stitch just so it looks like it's all one piece, and it's a really good hold. So you can do, so just make sure you're as far over as you are comfortable with. So I'm using, sorry, I'm not even on camera. So I'm using the front row, or the first row of my piece here. So mine might be a little lower than the one I just sewed on, but oh yeah, it might be. I don't know, this one's up here, this one's kind of down lower, but that's okay. I'm not going to really worry that much about it. So I'm going to meet up with the straggler from this guy, and I'm going to tie them together after I cut them down a bit. And then suck the knot down inside. So now we need a piece of the green, the dark green. So on one end you're going to make a slip knot. Then you're going to put a needle on the other end. So you're going to be sewing it on about like this. So in this first row, That's where I want you to go and reattach. So I'm going to go through this slip knot that I made and then pull that tight and make it a double knot. And before I do anything else, I'm going to weave this straggler away, just so it's not in my way. So this goes right down to the bottom, off to the side. And again, I'm just doing mattress stitch. So now that that's on, I'm not sure if I was on camera again, but I'm gonna meet up with this dude over here from where I sewed my other guy on, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna do a double knot and pull the knot down inside. That way everything's tied together on the inside. There we go. So the straps look funny. I know, there's a reason for that. Oh, I gotta redo up my button. There we go. So now we gotta put this on. So you can decide whether you want to sew this in place or not sew it in place. But that's his backpack. It's hard to get him to sit up on his own. I think I sewed his legs in the wrong spot. He wants to fall backwards. All done. Like I said, you can put some stitches. Sew this here if you feel like it's not, but I mean that's why we did the shoulders, so it might slip down once in a while, so it's completely up to you. But we are all done this guy. So what I want you to do if you like this video, click the like button, and this kind of pushes it out into the algorithm of YouTube world so that other people can enjoy it. And share it around with your friends. Go find me on Facebook, and you'll know what I'm building and what I'm making and what's going to be upcoming in the months to come. And we have fun on that page. So thanks for joining me, guys, and a big shout out to my YouTube members who get the free PDF patterns. Can't forget about you guys. I'll see everybody in the next video.